I don't know if I've ever addressed, because look, like doing YouTube videos, I stare at these two giant holes in my wall. Also, I don't have a doorknob on my door. That happened a couple months ago when I had to move my old bed out, my new bed in, and the doorknob was already kind of old, so I took the doorknob off. And it's just not something you think to buy at the store. And I just never got a new one because I don't remember it. I always forget. So I went to the store yesterday specifically to get a doorknob, and now I just haven't installed it because it seems like it's gonna be hard to install. Doorknobs, man. I look semi-decent. I mean, I've been up since 5, and it's 6:06 currently, so I actually made 2 videos on this topic, and due to the fact that I just don't feel like doing 2 videos anymore on the same topic, we're going to combine it into one video. The first video I posted was sort of another, like, the 13th update video I posted on this channel. Basically just going over the fact that I want to do a better job at progressing my videos, because to me they've all felt very similar. Specifically, the 2 videos I wanted to update were my Godzilla series that I've been doing, as well as my video game videos, the 2 series that nobody cares about. But the big deal for me is that I'm approaching a year on this channel. In July will be a year. I've been thinking about that, like, okay, my whole goal was after a year, I want to see how my videos have progressed from where I started, and they have progressed a lot. I went from using my phone and propping it up on my monitor like that and talking down to my screen, to actually having a webcam and lights, and it's super cool. So on one hand, yes, I do feel like it's all progressed, but in another sense, some of the videos have stayed the same. Like, it's always the same about me writing about something and then having a picture of the movie, whatever, on this side, I guess, just kind of stapled here. But yeah, I did a whole 15-minute video on this topic of updating my videos and just kind of moving my channel forward, because I'm approaching a year on this channel, and it's kind of it's a big deal for me because I've been doing it, maybe not regularly, but I have been going, you know, semi-regularly on this channel for a year. And I'm looking forward to year 2, where I can hopefully somehow maybe keep this going all year, not have to take those long breaks between times when I was dealing with things in my personal life. And that's what happens when YouTube isn't a full-time job. You have to put things that are more important to the forefront. And it can be frustrating at times. And it's also really hard to get back into doing it after you have stopped for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month, you know, 2 months. It's really hard to kind of figure out how to get back into it, more than you think. Because right now I'm sitting alone in my bedroom at 6:12 in the morning talking to myself. It's honestly more awkward than it seems. Anyways, but on the topic about updating my videos in general, I talked about that earlier, that the series that I really in particular wanted to update were my Godzilla videos, because I've rewatched them recently and I don't like them. When I talk about wanting to see improvement in the way I edit, and those are the 3 that are frustrating, because they're the 3 that I put out insanely quickly. Like, I just run through them really quickly. I don't have a script or anything ready. I wanted to introduce people to Godzilla in the same way that I feel about it. The whole point of these videos was that I wanted to, since there's so many movies, there's now 32. Well, there's more than that now, because you have the 29 Japanese Godzilla, 2 American, 35 if you count the anime films, I think, if I'm doing my math right. I don't remember the point I was trying to make because I'm too tired. But I think the point was there's a lot of videos, there's a lot of time to cover. I've restarted, I've dug out my old collection of Godzilla films, and I've been rewatching the movies as I've gone to get them fresh in my mind before I talk about them. And I wanted to just kind of restart the series. I'm not going back from the first movie and going forward. Maybe I'll re-talk about Godzilla Raids again, and King Kong vs. Godzilla through fresh eyes now that I have rewatched them. And that's what ideally I would like to do, but I don't want to go back and restart again. We're just going to continue from the point we left off and move forward with the next film in the series. So I guess this is how we segue into this. The reason that I didn't want to go back in particular is because this is one of my favorite Godzilla movies, and I've been really excited to talk about it. In the 50s and early 60s, Toho was making a lot of monster films. So you had Godzilla, you had Rodan. In 1961, there was Mothra, and the Mysterians, Baron. Gosh, what you had? War of the Gargantuans, Frankenstein Conquers the World. You had all these other films inside this big universe, and they were taking monsters and constantly putting them in other things, which I think is really cool. It's and this is an example of that. Mothra had her own movie in 1961. Godzilla had his own movie in 1954. I just like the way that it was set up, with both monsters continuing off their own movie and fighting in this movie. It's a really good setup for them to fight. Well, as the credits are rolling, you see this giant egg get uncovered on this island and wash into the ocean. It washes up on the shore of Japan, where you had all these people basically fighting over. You had this company who wants to make this egg a tourist attraction. I had other people who want to study it. Look, there's been 35 Godzilla movies, and maybe 5 have something interesting going on with the characters. Whenever we watch a Godzilla film, we don't care what's going on with the people. We want to see Godzilla. We want to see Godzilla fight things. And if you have good human characters, that's an added bonus. We had antagonists and good human villains, and we had good human... It's just the fact that we had good human characters all around. All along, Mothra's fairies come from Infinite Island to try and persuade the antagonists of the film, antagonists mean the human antagonists, to basically allow them to take the egg back to Infinite Island, because the egg belongs to Mothra, and they want Mothra to take her egg back to Infinite Island. Something I just realized now. How's that egg bigger than Mothra if it's supposed to be her egg? Just saying, I just now thought about that. That's kind of strange. Anyways, so you have, while all this is going down, Godzilla shows up. Before going any further with the story, Godzilla is awesome in this film, and it's funny because this was before. Now it's a staple in the series. You know, the army has to show up to fight Godzilla. This happens in every Godzilla film, and that was a huge point of this movie still, was the army trying to find a way to stop Godzilla. They throw out like a net on him and zap him, and Godzilla just shakes it off and keeps walking. He might stumble a little bit, fall on the ground, but then he just gets back up and just slowly trudges along. He makes an insanely menacing villain. That's how I like Godzilla best, or like an anti-hero, where he's like a hero but not really in association with, like, he's not really doing it to help people. And as also needs to be said before I continue, that this is easily my favorite Godzilla suit, probably throughout the entire series, and there's probably over 20 different suits used. Anyways, Godzilla rises from the dirt. He makes a beeline for Mothra's egg. At the last possible second, Mothra intervenes, and we finally get our first big confrontation. Mothra is an insane underdog in the movie. She doesn't stand a chance, but you're still really pulling for it. Any movie that can get me to not cheer for Godzilla is doing something right. And she puts up a great fight, but I mean, that's just it. She didn't stand a chance to begin with. It was a really cool fight scene, because even though I don't think it was necessarily the best fight scene we've seen in the series, but it's definitely the one that has the most like weight put on it. Mothra is ultimately killed, and Godzilla kind of loses interest in the egg, which I thought was kind of funny because he was going for the egg. Mothra shows up and fights him. Godzilla kills Mothra, but Mothra's like fight was enough to him to be like, I'm gonna leave the egg alone. And he just then the egg hatches with twins, which was so cool, and the two larvae go after Godzilla. And they have no chance whatsoever. I mean, Mothra put up a fight, but she was a fully grown, she wasn't just a larva, she was like a fully grown, whatever, moth. So the larvae have no chance whatsoever, but they actually go after Godzilla and take him on, and they win, and it's a really like cool stand up and cheer moment when Godzilla loses. This is easily the best movie of the first series. I highly recommend it. This is not just like me saying as a Godzilla fan. When someone who like wants to start with Godzilla, I think it's easy to start with King Kong versus Godzilla, just because it's something that people will be more familiar with. But in terms of what movie is my favorite, this one is hands down better than any of them in the original series. Anyways, I'll give Mothra vs. Godzilla a gold star. The whole reason I wanted to introduce rating systems because I thought this film was legitimately the perfect Godzilla film. I just want to slap a gold star on it and say, this movie's great. I do have some extra time here, so just to kind of clear things up, I want to talk about something really briefly. When I talk about like the first series, I'm only going to explain this now because I know I'm going to run into this problem later on if I don't explain it now. And that is, I mean, you have 35 different movies, not including the 3 American films and the 3 anime films. There are 29, and they're broken down into 3 series. You have the Showa era, which ran from 1954 to 1975. In this series was like the classic Godzilla that most people know. They rebooted Godzilla again, making him the bad guy after Godzilla kind of slowly evolved into that hero. They took a step back, they waited about 10 years, and they rebooted him as the villain in the Heisei series, which ran from 1984 to 1995, so 11 years. They decided to end Godzilla after that and allow TriStar to make their own American trilogy, starting with Godzilla 1998. But after that movie sucked, Toho basically decided, no, we'll make some more Godzilla films. And then starting at the next year, 1999, they kicked off a new series of Godzilla films that ran from 1999 to 2004. And then of course with the release of Godzilla Final Wars, they kind of ended the series. And that series is called the Millennium Series. I know it sounds kind of complicated. Looking on paper, it sounds really complicated. It's just 3 times they kind of said they were done with the series and kind of rebooted it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed this video. The fact that you guys watch my videos is so cool to me. And I just want to tell you guys thank you, because it means a whole lot to me, more than you can imagine. So with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching. I said that already. I love you all, and I'll see you guys in the next video.